Hello, friends at home and remote learners. Today in this video, we're going to go over day 2 of our morning work for this week. So if you struggled to answer any of those questions or your teacher sent your assignment back to you because you had a few misunderstandings, this is the video you want to watch so you can see how to answer those questions correctly. So I am going to share my screen and bring up that morning work. Right, and we're on day 2, so these 4 questions right here. And our first question happens to be a word problem. And it says a swimming pool has 20 swimmers. So we know the swimming pool has 20 swimmers. We also know there's an equal number of swimmers in the deep end and in the shallow end of the pool. So I'm thinking right now of a pool, and I'm thinking of a deep end and a shallow end, and I'm thinking there's 20 swimmers in there, but there's an equal number in each end. It says how many swimmers are in each end of the pool. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to draw a swimming pool, and I'm going to divide it right here. And I'm going to make this be the shallow end and this be the deep end. And I know there's a total of 20 swimmers in there. So one thing I can simply do is do fair share. And I can put my swimmers back and forth so there's an equal number in both ends of the pool. And I divide it up until I get to 20. So we could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I got my 20 swimmers in there. I used fair share. And if I count, it looks like I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got 10 swimmers in each end of the pool. So how many swimmers are in each end of the pool? I can say there are 10 swimmers. Okay. And let's see if I can make that smaller. I don't know how to do that. There we go, 10 swimmers. And I'm gonna move that, I think, over here. I'm not that good with these text boxes yet. There we go, 10 swimmers. Okay, does everybody see that? And so another thing you could have just done is you could have done a division equation, because that's really what this is. And we're gonna take our total of 20 and we're gonna divide it into 2 groups. The 2 groups is the deep end of the pool and the shallow end of the pool, and 20 divided by 2 is 10. Now I know that fact, but I also could have skipped counted by 2 until I got to 20 and I would have counted 10 fingers, okay? All right, let's go to the next one. Here's a rounding one, all right? And it says, round each number to the nearest 10, then add. So what we're really doing is we're estimating this sum. We don't want an exact answer. We want to round and then add, so we're getting an about answer. And the most important thing for me to underline here is nearest 10. So sometimes they ask us to round to the nearest 10. Sometimes they ask us to round to the nearest 100. Here in this question, they're asking us to round to the nearest 10. So I'm going to take 166 and I'm going to draw my number line over here. And I'm rounding 166. I'm going to put that up here. And then I got to say, okay, how many 10s are in that? Well, at first glance, it looks like there's 6 10s, but there's 100 there too. So it's not just 6 10s, it's actually 16 10s, which is 160. Okay. So the nearest 10 there is 160. One more 10 than that would be 170. So 160 plus 10. Notice the only thing that changed in there was my 10s place. It went up by 1. Now I have to find my midpoint, really important when you're rounding. So halfway between 160 and 170 is 165. And then I'm going to go back and look, I'm rounding 166. So I'm going to put 166 probably right about here. And then I'm going to say, okay, what is 166 closest to? What is the nearest 10? Is it 160 or is it 170? Well, it's above the midpoint, so it's closest to 170. So I'm going to write 170 above my 166 there. Okay. Now 341. Again, I have to round it to the nearest 10. So I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to erase this to give us a little more room here. And now I'm going to round 341. So I'll write my number up here. Again, the first question I ask myself, because we're rounding to the nearest 10, is how many 10s are in that? It looks like there's 4 10s or 40, but 300 is really 30 10s. So it's 340, not just 40. If I wrote 40 there, it wouldn't really make any sense because 40 isn't even close to 341. So it's 340. One more 10 is 350. Remember, we need to find our midpoint because that tells us which number it's going to be closer to. So the halfway between 340 and 350 is 345. 341, if I plot that on this number line, it's going to be down here. So 341 is closest to 340. It's below the midpoint, so I'm going to round it to 340. So now I've got 170 and 340, and now I have to add those two numbers. So I'm going to just use my algorithm, 170 plus 340, add the ones, that's 0, add the tens, I get 11, and I have to regroup 3, 4, 5. My answer is 510. Okay, so it can be a little tricky to round 3-digit numbers to the nearest 10. You just have to think about skip counting by 10 in those high numbers. All right, the next one is an algorithm, a 3-digit number plus a 2-digit number. So I like to write my bigger numbers on top. So I'm going to start with 222, and then I have to add 37. And this is what's really important. You have to pay attention to place value when you're using the algorithm like we're using here. So 37 is 3 tens. So I'm going to put that in the tens place and 7 ones, and I'll put that in the ones place. Okay, and then I just add away. I start with my ones. 2 plus 7 is 9. 2 plus 3 is 5. 200s plus nothing is 200s, and my answer is 259, and I didn't even have to do any regrouping. Okay, and then our last question are just some quick and easy tens facts. Remember, when you multiply by 10, you just add 0. So 10 times 1 is 10, and you can think of that as one and the same, or you can think 1 and add a 0. 10 times 2 is 20. I take my 2, I add a 0. 10 times 3 is 30. I take my 3, and I add a 0, and I get 30. Okay, that's your morning work for today. I hope you guys found that helpful.